Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the island of Oahu here in Hawaii in the beautiful United States of America. I'm coming at you guys today with one of my awesome everything you need to know travel guides. This is where you get everything you possibly need to know about a location. With that being said, make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of these upcoming travel guides, because there will be a bunch in the future and you don't want to miss them. This video is also sponsored by the amazing Hosteling International Honolulu. Make sure you check them out down in the description below. They made this trip possible. They helped out a ton on accommodation. With that being said, let's jump into this Oahu travel guide. Now, Oahu is only one of the many islands here on the islands of Hawaii. There's a bunch of different islands, like the big island of Hawaii itself. Each island has its own individual perks and pluses, but for this trip, we thought it was cheaper to stay on Oahu for 3 full weeks, which we did, and cover as much ground as we can here. So we're able to bring you guys all the information about this island. Now, it's an incredible island, but it's also the most populated island of the bunch, with the main city of Honolulu and the most famous beach on planet Earth, Waikiki Beach, located right here. You are not going to escape tourists the entire time. It's a small island. It takes you maybe 3 hours to circumnavigate the entire island, so it's not big, and you will not escape tourists. So if you're looking for a retreat, unless you're willing to pay for a high-star quality resort, you're not going to get that quiet time that you want on Oahu. Now let's jump into this travel guide by topics. So we're gonna first of all start with locations, places that you have to visit while you're here. Starting off, you're going to land in Honolulu International Airport most likely. You were very close to either Pearl Harbor or Honolulu itself. You're most likely going to start your adventure in Honolulu. The city is hustling and bustling. There are tons of people here and no shortages of the superstores that you want, like Walmarts and Walgreens. All your food and all your adventure and clubbing and hotels will all be located here. Just a short distance from Honolulu, you will find the amazing Waikiki Beach. That is super famous, world famous beach that we're currently standing on. This place is the place to be if you want to learn how to surf. This is like where surfing kind of originated. It is super easy to surf. There's surfing stations set up in every single part of the beach. You do not want to miss picking up a surfboard and just jumping out. The waves in Waikiki Beach are set up perfectly for beginners to learn how to ride, and every day there are waves no matter what. But there's tons to do here besides that. This is where some of the most expensive and luxurious parts of Hawaii in general exist. But if you don't want to deal with a bunch of people and really expensive prices, I would get out of here as soon as possible. If you want to get away from the huge crowds from Waikiki Beach, you can actually come to the beach we're standing on right now. It's called Queens Beach. There's no shortage of activities though here, like jet skiing and parasailing and snorkeling. It's pretty much whatever you want to do. Waikiki doesn't really need an explanation. It's a pretty much must-have, must-do when you're here. But please, do not spend all your time here. On Honolulu itself, there's also a palace you can visit and some old historical sites and statues that you must pay a visit to while you're here in Hawaii. Near Honolulu, there's Diamond Head, the most famous hike in Oahu. It is this amazing crater of a volcano that you have to check out. We didn't actually hike to the top of it, we just flew next to it with the drone, but it is gorgeous. And besides that, we will move on from the immediate Honolulu area. We're gonna take this island going east, so your next best spot you wanna head off to east is Hanauma Bay. Hanauma Bay is this amazing kind of half volcano that got destroyed into the water. There's a beautiful hiking spot to hike here and some awesome snorkeling to do if you're a beginner snorkeler. If you've never snorkeled before, it costs about $8 to enter this location, and you can go snorkeling on a super shallow reef. It's not the best snorkeling in the whole world. I don't even think it's worth the $8 entrance, but if you've never snorkeled before, this is a great place to begin snorkeling. And they give you a nice introduction video on the area, how to snorkel and all this stuff before you go in, and there's lifeguards pretty much watching you 24/7. If you've never done any of this stuff before, I would highly recommend Hanauma Bay. And besides being a cool snorkeling spot, the location is insanely gorgeous. It is so beautiful, so it's worth it just to go see it. And as well, next to Hanauma Bay, you have Coco Head. This is Coco Head Trail. It's a crazy giant staircase taking you all the way up to this half crater of a volcano. It's not supposed to be a huge hard hike, but if you haven't hiked up a bunch of stairs before, you might not want to do it. But it is another huge recommendation to get some beautiful views of Oahu while you're here. Going a little more north from that, we're now going to be on the leeward side of the island, I believe. This is kind of the east coast going north towards the North Shore. Lanikai Beach. This has been my favorite spot in the entirety of Oahu. There's a hike called the Pillbox Hike there where you visit these little military outposts going up a narrow stretch of hill. There's tons of people doing it, so you cannot escape the people. But the entire hike takes you up this beautiful green mountain. As you're going up, you see this gorgeous blue water and giant jungly mountains behind you. I cannot recommend this enough, guys. It is something you have to do when you're here. It was one of my favorite trips, little day trips that we did out of Honolulu. You can either do it by staying on that side of the island or just taking a day trip from Honolulu. It's not hard. The bus systems are set up pretty good here. Moving on up north, we didn't do much along the way, but it's a lot of the same. There's lots of little islands and inlets and beaches all the way up the eastern side of the coast until you reach the North Shore of Hawaii. This is the infamous place known for the best surfing on planet Earth. Now, I'm sorry for butchering the pronunciation, but kind of the capital of the North Shore is the city of Halavea. Don't hate me, please. A lot of historical sites here are from the beginnings and origins of surfing. You do not want to start surfing here. If you've never surfed before, it's not the place to be. It's really shallow coral, and you kind of have to know what you're doing there, but it is definitely worth a visit. There's a lot of huge mountains and cool waterfall hikes to do in the area. Besides the beaches on the North Shore, really cool, we have these places called Sharks Cove and Chunes Reef, great snorkeling spots, as well as food trucks. What we did was kind of rent a pickup truck and just kind of drive the North Shore. We pretty much went to the end of the road and saw everything we could see, from the tall jungles to the nice beaches, and just kind of drove along the coast and had a good time. The golden gem of the North Shore is a place called Turtle Beach. It actually has a real name. I will put the name up on the screen right now because I don't know how to pronounce it. If you are a fan of sea turtles and like sea turtles like me, this is going to be your favorite spot. There's an awesome beach there where you can go and literally watch sea turtles come out of the water and just chill on the shore. There's tons of people there, at least when we were there. So don't expect to have your privacy with the turtles, but right offshore there's sea turtles swimming, and you can actually see them just flapping around and swimming right next to shore. It is unclear to me whether you're allowed to swim next to them and swim in the actual waters there, but there were surfers out in the water surfing on that beach. So just keep in mind when you're next to the wildlife in Hawaii, whether they're dolphins or sea turtles or sea lions or whatever they are, do not touch the animals and do not bother them. Besides that, that's the North Shore. The North Shore's road pretty much ends at the end of the road to a place called the Kaena Point Trail. That's kind of a point of the island known as Kaena Point. The road does not circle the entire island. It actually ends on both sides at this point. So the only way to continue that island, if you want to circumnavigate the whole thing, is to actually get out of your car and walk the other side. It's a hiking path. I think it takes about 4 or 5 hours. So now that we finished pretty much that entire side of the island, we're gonna loop all the way back to Honolulu. Just above Honolulu, you have areas called Manoa and the Lulumahu Falls. Also north of there, you have a thing called Stairway to Heaven, also known just as Stairway. These are hikes that you can do to go see amazing jungle views and waterfall views of Oahu. We personally opted for doing Lulumahu Falls. It is a trespassing hike, and you can watch my whole vlog on that, and there were also tons of people doing it, including college students, so it's no biggie. The hike takes you through this awesome valley, and you gotta walk through a muddy bamboo jungle. It's really, really cool, and then you end up in a beautiful 50-foot cascading waterfall. The valley walk feels like something out of Jurassic Park, and it really brought a tear to my eye. So highly recommend Lulumahu Falls, but right next to it is Manoa Falls, which also has a really good reputation. And lastly, Stairway to Heaven. This thing has a giant controversy over it. You've probably seen it in an Instagram picture before. It's a crazy, giant, dangerous staircase leading you to the top of a mountain on Oahu with insane views of the entirety of the island, pretty much. People say don't climb it if you don't know somebody. People say climb it if you do. There's rumors that cops give out $1,000 fines for doing it, and people have had to be rescued by helicopter for doing it. So I would just keep in mind, you don't want to risk it if you don't know what you're doing. I would ask people about it before you go, and go with somebody who knows what they're doing. You do not have my recommendation. I did not send you. That being said, we're gonna move out west from Honolulu, and we're gonna head out to Pearl Harbor. We're gonna jump all the way up the west coast to a town called Waianae. Waianae is a really interesting place because it's super quiet and there's like 0 tourists. If this is a place where you want to escape from tourism on Oahu, you might actually be able to do it. Pretty much the only tourists that hang out here are local tourists or locals themselves. Rarely do you see any foreigners or tourists from the mainland, really. I think maybe we saw 1 or 2, but there's nothing out here. You need a car if you want to go to Waianae. We did it without a car and buses, and it was horrid. There's lots of stuff to do on this coast, pretty much leading you all the way to the end of the road on Farrington Highway, which will take you to the Kaena Point, which meets up with the other side of the island. So to begin at the end of the road, Farrington Highway, where the Kaena Point Trail, and going down, your first beach you want to hit up is Makua Beach. This is a place known for dolphins. There's a pod of dolphins that just sticks around this area. They kind of go along the whole western coast of the island of Oahu, but they're really known for congregating in this area. There's tours that you can take, but you're actually known if you go on a nice clear day around the morning time area when the water is nice and chill. If you hop in the water, you can actually just swim with the dolphins right off of shore. Obviously go in only if you're a good swimmer, and do not harass the dolphins. They will kick your ass. I'm just kidding. I don't know if they actually will kick your ass, but they're a dolphin. Don't bother them. Just before the beach, you have Makua Cave. This is a cool cave you can go visit. There's actually a bunch of caves on the mountains on the side of this road, so you can check them out and see what to do. There's a lot of self-exploration to be done here, especially if you have a car. Next place is Makaha Beach Park. This is an incredible beach. One of my favorite spots on Oahu that we went to. Makaha Beach Park is also known as the Turtle Cleaning Station, and one of the original spots where surfing originated. The beach is actually this amazing space that's filled up half a surfing beach and half the ocean just kind of chills. So you can surf on one side of the beach and snorkel on the other side, and there's a turtle cleaning station where turtles go to get their shells cleaned on the reef. If you line yourself up with the coordinates of the certain sign and the certain bathroom and swim out, you'll actually find the turtle cleaning station. I was lucky enough to find it, and I was able to swim with 2 beautiful Hawaiian sea turtles. It was such a great experience, and this was my first day on Hawaii. So I highly recommend, you have my recommendation to go out and visit there. And if you want to take a little bit of a surf, the waves aren't massive, but you should probably know what you're doing a little bit. Besides that, if we move a little more south from there, we have a place called Aki's Beach. This is known as a spiritual site in Hawaiian culture. It is spiritual to locals because dolphins, sea turtles, and seals actually go and congregate there. The beach is sometimes packed with people, so it's hard. It's a very small beach. It will come up on Google Maps if you search for it though. We were able to see 1 sea turtle come up there at night, and I was only able to capture these pictures from it. Not very grand, but there's sea turtles known to come out there and seals known to come out there too. Hawaiian seals, which are very rare. So if you're looking for wildlife and kind of that untouched piece of paradise, this is the side of the island you want to visit. Besides that, going a little more south in there's a place called Electric Beach, which is like an electro-hydrothermal plant, and the water is pumped out to there, and it's made warm enough for a lot of fish, sea turtles, and dolphins to congregate, so it's worth checking out while you're there. Another cool activity that you could do, whether you're in Honolulu or the North Shore, is hitting up a ukulele factory or ukulele store. I was lucky enough to visit 2, one on the North Shore.
Yeah, let me show you. I'm gonna take over the way.
Which gave me a tour of the store. Super cool people. They taught me some awesome new ukulele tricks from Hawaii. As well in Honolulu, where we got to visit a factory that actually creates ukuleles. Visit the whole thing inside out. It was amazing and free. So visit some local ukulele shops, learn a little bit about the native Hawaiian instrument, and I'm sure you're gonna have a good time. So now that we've covered locations for you to visit and circumference the entire island, we are going to cover costs. So the costs of Oahu. I've been digging a hole in my pocket, that's for sure. This is definitely not a budget traveler's location, and I found it very hard to be on a budget here. Here's the deal. Food is expensive, gas is expensive, breads and dairy products are all expensive because a lot of things are imported here from the mainland or from other parts of the world, even fruits and vegetables. I'm saying for a 2-week trip, you might want to budget for about $2,000 to $4,000 on the high end to spend for hotels, flights, everything included. And really that'll be spending like bare bones. Luckily, we work with hostels and Airbnbs and different tours and stuff when we're on the road, so we get things for a little bit cheaper for free. So it's a little bit easier for us to do it, but also because we're working hard making these videos. I will say I was pretty disappointed with some of the hostels. Besides the Hosteling International Honolulu, the value that you get for some of the hostels on the high end in Waikiki are like $40 a night, and they are just not that grand accommodation for $42. I would say one of my highest recommendations, if you're not staying with one of the amazing Hosteling International locations here, I would check out Airbnbs. If you're coming with a group, I think 4 people to come together to Oahu could be a fantastic way to budget this place out. Airbnbs can be cheap if you're up to 4 people, and car rentals can be cheap if you're up to 4 people and squeeze them in. Besides that, when it comes to touring around the island and actually doing tours and different excursions, they also cost a pretty penny. You're looking at the $60 to $100 range on the minimum, and going up to $200, $300 for maximum in even more giant group excursions. I would say one of the awesome things about Oahu is a lot of the things you can do by yourself or for free. A lot of the beaches is just go out and swim with the animals, go out and snorkel for free. A lot of the hikes have all been free pretty much. So yeah, there's no getting around it really. This place is expensive. Even camping and camping equipment can cost you about $20 to $50 a night. So you can make this place cheap-ish, but you'll never get it down to a super crazy budget. Moving on, for prices and costs, let's get into transportation of the island of Oahu. If you're coming to this island, you are gonna wanna get a car. It's gonna be the easiest and the most fun way. Once again, it does cost a lot more money because you're gonna have to pay for gas and insurance and a car rental and all that stuff, but it's the easiest way to get around the island. Like I said earlier, the island is tiny. It's really easy to get around. It'll take you about 3 hours to drive the whole thing. If you're driving kind of slow and stopping, you could do the whole thing in 2 hours if you wanted to. And a lot of some of the cooler sites on the west side, the bus doesn't actually reach to. So you'll have to do them by car, or if you're not doing it by car, you'll want to go around by bicycle. I highly recommend getting a car. But if you can't, the bus system really works well on Oahu. The bus runs on the extreme island time, so you get like 150 stops sometimes going from Honolulu to the North Shore. Takes forever. There's a lot of stops. The buses aren't super comfortable all the time, and especially going to the West Coast, they were packed most of the time. So they are what they are, but it costs you $275 for a one-way ticket and $550 to get one of these day passes. They actually have the day of the week that you purchase them on and the date itself, and you show this to the bus driver and you can just go on the bus. This can get you around the entire island. It covers the whole entire island. So you just get one of these and you can go anywhere you want within a day. $550 a day is not super cheap, but it gets the job done. Besides that, there's an endless amount of trolleys and shuttles located around the Honolulu, Waikiki area, and you can get taxis and Ubers. Ubers work really well in Honolulu. They're pretty cheap, but if you're trying to go anywhere else, they get very expensive. Unless you're with a group of like 4 people, Uber is not the most cheap option. There's no trains on the island, even though there used to be one. And if you want to get to the different Hawaiian islands, your only option is to really fly. Flights are also known to be super cheap, costing you around the $50 to $100 range to get from island to island. And there are cruise ship options available, but obviously that's super expensive. That being said, that'll cover our transportation. Next, let's go over safety. So this is kind of a touchy subject when it comes to Hawaii and Oahu in general. Oahu has a very big problem when it comes to the homeless population and to a drug problem. There are tons of homeless people here, but they tend to congregate in a lot of the central areas, so there's pretty much no escaping it. There's a lot of homeless people and a lot of crazies. I haven't seen anything dangerous happen at all the entire time I'm here, and all I've heard and all I've been reassured about, nobody's ever really dangerous. Besides that, I think your biggest worry is to be like earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, but none of them really happen on Oahu. While we're here, actually massive eruptions have broken out on the big island of Hawaii, pluming lava and smoke and fires and poisonous gas into the air, as well as earthquake tremors, but none of that has affected the island of Oahu. You want to keep an eye out for the weather, maybe like hurricanes or typhoons, but they also happen seasonally, so just make sure you're checking before you come. And besides that, you really only have to worry for like petty theft, but that's pretty much happening in every big city, so once you get out of here, it's not really a worry. Do not leave your bags alone on the beach. We've been reassured that many times. And on the west side coast, just make sure you watch out and don't piss off any of the locals, because I've heard many people have told me that they're not super welcoming to tourists outside on the west coast. So just keep that as a thing. That'll cover safety, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into food. The best part of these everything you need to know guides. Pause you right here. If you haven't watched our Hawaiian food tour yet, make sure you go watch that. But Hawaiian food is freaking delicious. Oh, it's like a mix of like Asian food and American food and Filipino food and like, oh, a bunch of different things. We're gonna cover 3: a Hawaiian mocha loco, a poke bowl, and Hawaiian shaved ice. Poke bowl is this amazing combination. If you're into sushi and raw fish, it's like essentially just raw fish cubed up and put on rice with different things on the side. You can have them with different dressing and seasoning. It's super fresh, super delicious, and you get a big bowl. It is a little pricey, but you usually get a big bowl and a nice filling meal out of it. Hawaiian mocha loco, you get hamburgers with gravy, rice, and eggs. It is a super hearty meal. Not very expensive, I would say, for the amount of food you get. It can easily feed 2 people, and it is very delicious. Besides that, we have Hawaiian shaved ice. Oh my God, life-changing. When you think shaved ice, you just think of like a snow cone, but Hawaiian shaved ice is different. It is soft and almost creamy-like, and you can get delicious island flavors. I highly recommend going for a mango flavor. Besides that, you're going to find all your classic fast food restaurants like your McDonald's and Burger King and Subways. So if you're looking for something on the cheaper side and you want to go for fast food, you can always find that pretty much anywhere. As well, food trucks. Food trucks are located all over the islands. A lot of them congregate on the North Shore and on Honolulu itself. They'll have a bunch of different options, from burgers to tacos, jumbo shrimp, which are famous on the North Shore, so they're worth trying out. They're a lot more local. Let's talk about the people of Hawaii. The people of Hawaii are made up of a very interesting group of people. You have the local Hawaiian people that were kind of born and raised on the islands. These are the local peoples. The people are going to give you those shakas left and right and make you feel home and at welcome. You have the mainlanders or the Americans or whatever's that have come to the island and have moved here. You have a bunch of different people from the Pacific Islands like Kiribati and American Samoa and Guam, and you have a bunch of Filipinos here as well. You'll find a nice mix of Japanese and Koreans here as well, and it's nice because all these different cultures bring a lot to the table when it comes to Honolulu and how multicultural it is, and the different places around the islands found with the different neighborhoods of people congregating there. That being said, the people are very nice and welcoming and warm. They are never over the top friendly, not that I felt. I had a certain misconception that I was going to be treated very rudely when I was here, just because I've heard different things online of people being rude out here. Definitely not a thing that happened at all, but I will say, respect the island. Don't go around just picking and destroying things and being a rude tourist. You know, there's people who this island means a lot to, and a lot of the locals here have a very real connection with this land, and so you don't want to come and just disrespect it. I highly recommend when you come here, try to meet some local Hawaiians, maybe even take an Uber ride just to meet some of the local people who live here. That was some of my ways of having the most in-depth and deep conversations with the locals who live here. But that's what you should expect out of the people who live on Oahu. Let's move on quickly to language. There's actually 3 main languages on this island. You have your native Hawaiian, American English, and Pidgin. Pidgin is kind of a broken dialect of English that's been created. You'll have words like shoots and dakain. You have your native Hawaiian language with basic words like aloha, which means hello, goodbye, and love, and mahalo, which means thank you. Stuff that you need to know, just basics to kind of be nice to the local people and make a little effort to learn their language. Moving on, let's talk about weather. I'm making this a whole sub-subject because this island is super unpredictable. You'll have some days that are very warm and sunny, and some days that are super rainy, so act accordingly. It is going to rain while you're here no matter what, but it depends on what parts of the island, because the island has different weather patterns and the different mountains push around stuff, so just keep an eye out with the forecast. But it's definitely going to be a rainy and sunny environment. When it gets hot, it gets super hot. When it gets rainy, it gets super rainy. With that being said, I think we have covered Oahu pretty well. This was an awesome trip out here, just over 3 weeks. We're heading off to Los Angeles today. I do hold behind my belief that I believe every Hawaiian island probably deserves this amount of time, a little unique given amount of time for each island. So I think 3 weeks was really nice amount of time to cover Oahu. Make sure once again to check out the Hosteling International Honolulu down in the description below, because they've been super friendly and super nice in accommodating us during our stay here. They are pretty much your cheapest and nicest option when it comes to staying in a hostel here on Oahu. Make sure you check them out and show them some love. Besides that, we are going to leave you guys here. Make sure you enjoy this island if you come out. Make sure you surf and sing with the sea turtles and love them and give the whole island all of your love that you ever could. We're gonna give you your last Hawaiian word of the day, which is gonna be ohana, which means family. And that'll be the end of this video. Make sure you check out the travelingclatt.com if you want to support this channel and maybe show us some love. You can get yourself a shirt. Moshe, come here. You can get a shirt just like this, travelingclatt.com. Support this channel, get a hat, get a shirt, whatever you want. Get out of here. I get a hat, we don't have hats. And subscribe and turn on that notification button so you do not miss any of these videos. And make sure you check out my other travel guides. There will be links in the description. Check out channel, check out the love, and we'll see you in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, Clatts.